Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the Me Aubrey and Eyeshadow Podcast with our new co-host, Whitney. Whitney, I'm so excited that we're going to be able to dialogue and talk about mom life and all the things. And I thank you for accepting my invitation and doing this with me.
Absolutely. We talk about it anyway, and now we just do it with the cameras recorded.
Right. With all the things, all the crazy things happening behind the scenes. So today's topic is overcoming overwhelm or dealing with overwhelm, stress, and emotional or exhaustion as a mom. And we both have dealt with that, I'm sure. And like you said, I think you said in the chat that it's a cycle. I do think we go through cycles of feeling overwhelmed at times, stressed, and exhausted,
We always think like once I get past this, it'll be better. And then it'd be like, oh, it's not. It just be something else. Like every time, like, oh, when they can sleep through the night, I'll be better. Oh, okay, they can sleep through the night. Oh, when they can, go to school, I'll be better. Then you worry with them in school. Or they're like my daughter who has, an assignment every week for me to do. Like, oh, you need to bring a teddy bear.
A school assignment for you to do.
Apple. They need a red apple today.
Right. So we're going to talk about some ways that we can help ourselves and our fellow moms. So one of the things you mentioned was postpartum. I think that's the first challenge. I think for me, though, when I was at the hospital after I gave birth to Aubrey, you can go home the next day. Your insurance will pay for 4 days. So how long I said, I need the 4 days. Because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, y'all about to send me home? What? We gonna take all 4 days, because I was immediately overwhelmed. And, when she came out, I said, why is she crying? I'm like, what's wrong now?
I'm like, you're here. What more do you want?
Right. Why is she crying? But immediately I'm just like, oh my goodness, like what have I done? But I do think something that helped is, my parents were nearby. So having some support for those that have it in their lives, that can definitely help. One memory that I have is that my mom came over one night that Aubrey wouldn't sleep. She just would not stop crying. And my mother came over and she rocked her and sang to her. No, she didn't sing to her. She put on a song on her phone and rocked Aubrey to the beat of the song, and my mother was just, I don't know, that magic touch, I guess, because Aubrey quieted down, and went to sleep. And my mother left and walked on down, just down the street because we were in the same complex. So definitely having support. I know sometimes you can find that outside of your family. Sometimes you have to find it outside of your family. But I think that's exactly. If you can pay for it, pay for it. Why not? Any way to get it done. I think that's great. I've been considering what can I afford in terms of, I don't want to say a maid, but home maintenance care. Yeah. Who can go clean the floors every week?
No, seriously. I think for me, I didn't get overwhelmed right when I had her, but when I came home, and then it's other stuff because like I know I told you about, I had really bad hemorrhoids, and I never knew that was a thing. But I was prepared to come home with a baby, but I wasn't prepared to come home with a baby and I can't sit down. Like that was a whole
Right.
other level for me. So now, and my
Right.
mom was here with me. My mom came to stay with us for a few days, actually a week after I had my daughter and I had my husband. But I just the mental that it played on me, like not being able to like sit down and just the pain. It was so painful.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot to just a lot to work through in the midst
Mm-hmm.
of my hormones going like crazy on their own. And now I'm going through
Mm-hmm.
because I can't function the way that I usually function as something as simple as sitting down and holding my baby, because I'm like laying
Right.
down trying to hold her because I couldn't sit. I remember buying like a donut with the hole in the middle so I could sit down and that didn't help. It was
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was very, very tough. And I read somewhere they were saying that people who have a good support system, they come out of postpartum sooner than those who don't. And I wouldn't even say I had a bad support system. I would say my support system maybe you compared to others might be great and compared to others it might have been not so great, like
Mm-hmm.
always could hope that they did something different or did more. But I know for me, I would say it took me 2.5 years, a solid 2.5 years before I felt like I would never say I never felt normal again, but before I didn't feel so overwhelmed with motherhood. I think the overwhelmness
Okay.
went away at about 2.5, and now it still creeps up a little bit every now and then. But it was like 24/7 of being overwhelmed by motherhood. I was gonna bring
Yeah.
up. You see it's like a viral video going around where a lady collects like diapers around her home, and she collected 17 diapers, and
In one
like
day or?
yeah, she's cleaning up her house and she's finding these dirty diapers like around her house, like on the coffee table, like in the sofa, like just random places throughout her house. She's finding these dirty diapers. So some
Uh-huh.
people on the internet are like, "Oh my gosh, so gross! Like how did you not know you had 17 dirty diapers?" But now it's turning into people are telling their story of what their 17 diapers look like. Like I didn't have
Mm.
17 diapers, but I was locked in that bathroom downstairs, like thinking someone was gonna have to call the psychiatric hospital and get me together.
Uh-huh.
That's like it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
17 diapers, but what's your equivalent to where you were at like your breaking point and you found 17 dirty diapers? So it's kind of nice to see
Yeah.
moms come together and talk about like their 17 diaper experience, even though it wasn't that, but it was something very similar where they just felt overwhelmed and they
Right.
couldn't believe they allowed their selves to get to that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that leads to at getting help, professional help. Sometimes we need a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I know I didn't seek one until actually so shortly after I had Aubrey, and I took her to some checkups and all this other stuff, I was having crazy thoughts, like just thoughts and that I thought were postpartum. And I don't know why I didn't tell my like who had delivered her, because I'm not sure if I was still going back to see her at this time or not. Or maybe it had been too long and I just didn't think to make an appointment to go back to her. But I told Aubrey's doctor, I was like, I'm having these thoughts. And I'm like, they're odd. They're odd thoughts. And he just kind of brushed it aside. I do wish that I would have um, maybe sought a therapist then or maybe talked to someone else, because I think that the generation before us, like my mom, she didn't seek any, if she went through it, they just went through it, until it passed. And so seeking help from a therapist and things when you're having maybe the postpartum or you feeling overwhelmed, they can always come up with some resources or some things for you to try. And personally, with the baby, when they're not walking, I think that's a great time. If you need some time, like sit them somewhere. They're not about to leave.
Let them
That's the
cry.
thing.
Yeah, close the door.
Let them cry.
Yeah.
Close the door.
Mm-hmm.
Put on some headphones, and you can't
Cry.
hear them. And
Yeah,
take a
nice.
minute. Yeah, you cry. Watch a show.
Yeah.
Get yourself together. They will be fine. Like for real,
Yeah, they're not gonna
they'll be
cry
fine.
themselves to death. Like that is not a real thing.
No.
Like, and it's okay. It's okay. Like they have to learn how to self-soothe. As bad as even now with a toddler, like sometimes like my daughter, she'd be in a room crying and I just have to let her cry. Like, you're safe, you're full, you're like, there is no issue here. This is something that you have to deal with within, because I can't be there for you every single second of the day. Mom still has to be there. You have to kind of figure it out a little bit. And that's hard, especially when they're small and you feel like, oh my, and them, them cries. I mean, like, I don't know if you felt that way, but I could feel her cries in my stomach. Like when she would cry, it was like I had like I used to tell my husband, like, I could feel it. Like, I could feel it in my body. Like it wasn't just like I heard it, I felt it. And that was so weird to me. Like, it was I don't know if it was like it's a motherhood connection or what, but I could feel her cries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I had some turmoil during the pregnancy, and some of those things I could feel in my stomach when I would feel anxiety or whatever. I would still feel that within my body. And I would say it was odd. I didn't know what to do with it, but I knew that was a point where I was hitting an emotional low. But fortunately, throughout that journey, with her father and I did find therapy, and I did seek help eventually. And it has made a world of a difference. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and just having somebody to talk to openly and express all of your thoughts that you feel like society are not going to accept, especially as a mom, parents in general, I think, are expected to feel like, oh, my child fulfills me. My child does all these things. And for some of us, me included, that's not the case. My child does not fulfill me. I love her, and I care for her and all those things, but it doesn't give me fulfillment, But I appreciated having that safe space with my therapist, and I really appreciate my mom. My parents, even though they moved away, I can still call them and say, hey, Aubrey would like to talk to you. They talk to Aubrey just about every day, and so that's something that helps her with her, I'm going to say love tank, feeling loved and seen and all these other kind of things, having resources. But yeah, I think it's good to have somebody to just bounce things off. And if you need the time, you just say, hey, give me a minute. Now that Aubrey is 9 going on 10, I could say, hey, I'm taking a nap. Don't come in here. Once they start walking, then it's like, no bars. Like, I can open the door, I can come in, but it's okay to set those boundaries with them as well. Absolutely. Have some boundaries.
I 100% agree. And then too, like, I know for me, I was looking for a therapist and I had was having the weirdest experiences with therapists, like people not calling me back or study meetings and they not being at the meeting. And for me, it was just a moment. I think for me, I just had to go through it. Like I had to just go through it. And me now knowing like it's something on the other side of it, like that's not the end. I think that's what the hardest thing for a mom to kind of put a grip that this is literally just temporary. Like, will it still be stress or a little anxiety or something that you have to worry about? Absolutely. But it'll be something different. You'll be, or the reason why it will be different is because you will have mastered that stress. Right. I've mastered the stress of not getting much sleep. Like at this point, I mastered that, So now I deal with the stress of, maybe her coming in my room now. Like at first she slept in her room. Now she wants to come in our room now and she's 3. But you just master certain areas and then you just move to the next. So just realizing that it's something on the other side. Like they're not going to be, they grow up. They don't cry as much. Like it's something different that you have something different to look forward to. This is not the end. I don't care how hard or how difficult it seems, but it's not the end. It's definitely more to come. So just put your head down and pray yourself through it. Like it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would also say journal, like get
Yeah.
out a book and write out your stuff
I did. I
and
did.
then hide.
And talk to
Yeah.
people, like talk to your friends. I remember our
Yeah.
conversations, where, and that's the thing. I think when you start talking about people, it's stuff that you feel like weird. Like, why am I feeling like this? I shouldn't be feeling like this. And then you talk to somebody, they be like, oh, I had a similar feeling. Or
Mm-hmm.
you're like, why nobody told me? Or why no one talked about it? And it's like when
Mm-hmm.
you say something, you give someone else permission to be a little upfront about what they got going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that if you choose the journaling route, I like to hide mine because eventually kids could be walking around. But yeah, you journal, take you some time, maybe 5 minutes, write out your thoughts, and then just have a space for your book. And even if you are, I would say if you are up late at night, like you are, and I know you're up working on your business and things like that. If other moms are not up working on business while the kids are sleeping, maybe you're taking some time for yourself, and that would be a good time to write out what you felt for that day, maybe your plan for the next day.
Take a bubble
One
bath.
of take a bath while it's quiet.
Mm-hmm. Light you a
Put
candle.
on some comedy,
Yeah,
girl.
yeah.
Comedy, I love. Um, I'm sorry, Aubrey just sent me a message. I don't know what this meant. What she's saying, but yeah, I love being in having some time alone, and I was saying put on a comedy. Laughter is a great medicine.
It makes
Find
yourself
something
feel
that make
good. Like that was something
exactly.
I had to do that too. Like I remember I had these shoes. I had these shoes that I had during my like maternity because your feet swell up so bad. I
Yes.
had like a pair of like sandals. They were literally men's sandals that I had found at like a dollar store or something. One day my feet were like swollen. I was at the Dollar Tree and I saw them and I just grabbed them. And they just became like my go-to shoes. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like 6 months postpartum, and I'm still wearing my same maternity clothes and those same shoes, And I was at that point, I'm just trying to survive. Like I'm back to work,
Right.
zombie. I barely get any sleep. Like I care less what I look like. But when they like hit me, like Whitney, you need to do something to yourself. It made a difference. Like, and I remember like still feeling really bad, but looking better. So like people were like, oh, you look great, but still like inside going through all those emotions that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice that my outside didn't look like my inside. And that at one point I
Yeah.
had to be honest with myself. Like, do I want to look bad? Do I want people to pity me? Because I was at that one point feeling like I want people to take pity on me, like see like
Mm-hmm.
good and ask about me. But that's kind of like a little bit of like manipulation there. Like, like tell people
Mm-hmm.
how you feel. Don't wait for somebody to say,
Yeah.
oh, you look bad, or how are you okay? Like just tell them. You don't have to play games.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true. And I think sometimes, that's interesting. I never thought about that. I'm sorry, that hit me different.
I did. I remember one day feeling that way. Like, are you like, do you want people to see that you're down? Like, why are you walking around like with your heart on your sleeve? Like, do you need people to take pity on you? And at that point, I wanted people to see that I
Yeah.
wasn't good. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember having a conversation with my therapist about keeping myself up and saying that how did I put it? Like I can't. I was just like, I just can't. I'm like, I have too much going on. I don't have no time. Like I just cannot. Okay. I just cannot. And I was like, I can't find the time. And it was some way she put it like you can, if you really want to, you will. But I think being able to say right now, I don't want to. Like I had gotten to a point of depression, and I think it's depression, overwhelm, anxiety, where I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to shower. I didn't want to. It's not that I wanted to smell. I didn't. I wanted to lay in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I was tired, and I just wanted to lay in the bed. And I felt like at that moment I could not because I had a child that I had to get up and see about. But getting through the moments where you have to do for your child, let's say you have to make breakfast or wake them up for school, if you get through those couple hours and just take it moment by moment, you will get to the space where you can just shut off for the day. If you have time off, take the day off, call in. And while your child is at school, if you want to lay in the bed, like lay in the bed, you know.
And then
But
like not trying to be superwoman, that's
mm-hmm.
my struggle. I want to
Yeah.
and I've been told like, oh, you juggle so well, you do this so well, and it almost like when people give you those type of compliments, you feel like you have to like meet them every time. Like, I'm known for being a person that could juggle, so I have to show that I can juggle. But at the end of
Right.
the day, you're doing yourself a disservice because you can't do everything. You can't show up in every area. I remember we talked about on a podcast before, like how I had to dictate what days were for what part of my aspect of my life. Like some days I killed
Mm-hmm.
it in business. I mean, I killed it. I was productive. I did everything I needed to do. But those days I might not been showing up so much when it comes to my family. And then some days I might, get my house all the way together. House look great, family is great, but my business suffered. My goal is not to have too many days in a row where only one aspect of my life is being met. So like the house isn't. My mom told me that early on. She said, "Stop washing the dishes." Like Whitney, like because I was like, "Oh, the dishes." She was like, "Give them a break. Like it's fine. Don't do them."
Right.
And it was like
Right.
once and cooking was my hard one too because I just like to naturally like to cook, and two, that's one area where I feel like I serve my family well. So I
Okay.
remember being like, I can't I can't cook. Once I got the freedom of I didn't have to cook a meal, that changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could order pizza. That
Right.
literally was like
Exactly.
that was like a huge check off of my list. I like, wow, I don't have to do this and it's okay. And y'all still love me and I'm still a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
That was freedom. Cooking was freedom. Like realizing I didn't have to
Yeah.
cook every single day, that was freedom.
Yeah. That's true too. That's real. That's another thing. It was like you mentioned washing the dishes, girl. I'm good for letting them dishes go to the next day and washing them in the morning for real. I will wash them in the morning. And I do it, and I've just gotten into kind of that routine. I
Mhm.
would like to do them the night before, and I'm working on that because I love to go to bed with a nice fresh downstairs,
Mhm.
But yeah, if they have to go over it, I'm just too tired. I done cooked and I done straightened out and trying to get her ready for the next day. I'm like, oh, I'll just do it in the morning.
And it's your
Like,
house. Like, who are we trying to prove?
right,
So, like, this is your
right,
house. Ain't nobody coming in
right.
this house that you don't open the door for. So keep
Exactly.
the door closed until you get the dishes washed. And if that's tomorrow, it's tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. So take some of the pressure off. I think
Yes,
that's great.
I like
Like take the pressure off of ourselves, thinking that things have to be Instagram ready because it don't. Like people get ready. People make
Instagram
videos
isn't
of
even
people.
Instagram ready.
Or exactly. They not. They not. Everybody go and get their stuff. Get it. You get it ready so you can take the nice picture.
Mhm.
Or, some people just show themselves cleaning up. It's normal for homes to be lived in. And nobody has a child that put things back, or we don't always put things back exactly as they were after
Listen,
we use them.
Riley, I promise you, she come home from school. I cleaned up my front area. She come home from school. It'd be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like I'd be like, what? How do you do it so fast? Like it's literally like toys. How do you
Yeah.
move so fast? And it
Yeah.
was like, girl, what are you doing it for? She is gonna junk it up in like literally 5 seconds. Way to
Right.
go. And now, and even if you start when the kids get older, like Riley cleans. I'm like, you
Hmm.
want whatever she wants. You want to watch the show. You want a donut. You whatever you want. You need to clean your room like that. Those are
Yeah.
rewards. You're not getting anything for just existing. Like no, you need.
Yep.
This is our home. We need to take care of our home.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's good too, because you said Riley is 3. So they're never too young to learn. When they start walking, and talking, then they can do something. Absolutely. They can do something that's age appropriate for them. And if that's putting away their toys or whatever, then they can put their toys away, and then that will help with the mom load or the parents load of, I have to do everything. I have to run around, but you don't. You're teaching them. This is a part of their training. They're in future adult training, so having them wash their bodies or learn how to wipe themselves good and this is training them to take care of themselves and run their households in the future, so let them help out.
Absolutely.
It may be slower. They may not do it perfect, but still let them do it.
Do it perfect,
They're not.
But
they're not going to do it like you.
Absolutely.
But eventually they will get better.
Absolutely.
I know one of the hard things that Aubrey has is sweeping, how to hold the broom and stuff still. But I still tell her, go ahead and sweep.
I do it.
And then if I have to.
Yeah.
Huh?
Then you go around back after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And say, well, hey, if you get around this way or if you hold the broom this way, you can get these corners or whatever. But still, just because they're going to do it slow, let them do it slow. Let them mess up, but let them do it still.
Absolutely.
And that helps them. It helps them and it helps you.
Yeah.
And I'll say too, in the overwhelmed department, while we're journaling and things, these are things we could also transfer to our children. And when they're having hard times, teach them these skills to cope. They can color, they can say, right.
I had an event and it was a therapist at the event, and she said that her daughter came home and was like, "Oh, I had a bad day. My teacher, and she said a couple more things, and her husband kind of like chuckled at her, like, "Oh wow, how bad is that?" And she was like, "That was equivalent to you catching a flat tire on your way to work. You get to your work and your boss tell you to do somebody else's job. And then after you do somebody else's job, they ask you where your work at. And then you come home and you realize that you need to go back to the grocery store." And, they have stressful moments. And it might not look like our stress, but their stress could still be their stress. And she said she taught them, like, okay, you need a moment, go take a bath. Run you a bubble bath. We'll light you a candle. Decompress. And she was like, I'm just how to decompress as an adult. Like, and we can't downplay their struggles or stress, because it to them it is everything.
Yeah.
Like how small it is like to us.
Exactly. And that's because they're going through these things for the very first time. It's their first adversity with another person, or it's their first adversity with an adult, or their first experience with adults who may not all be nice, who may not think their children, before they go to school and stuff, they're used to everybody being like, oh, they so cute because they with your parents.
Then
you go to school. Yeah. You go to school and it's just like, oh, I don't like you. Or the teacher is just treating you different from these. They're going through these things for the first time. So that's a big impact on them.
The funniest thing was when Riley was in, when I first came and picked up Riley from school, and they were outside playing in the playground, and the kids are like playing in the playground, and like Riley's on the swing, and teachers are like sitting at the table, and no one's pushing Riley on the swing. And I was like, why no one is pushing her? And then I thought, like, it's 20 kids. They can't.
She better kick her legs out
all day.
Right.
And we were at the park, but Riley is so used to like mom and dad. It's just her. We put her, And we were at the park, and there was a little girl who like jumped on the swing backwards, like put her stomach on the swing, and she was like swinging back and forth. So the other day when I picked Riley up, I saw Riley swinging like the little girl was at the park, and I was like, my baby done figured out how. Right. Obviously it isn't the right way, but at least you know how to get momentum. And it's just the truth. The little things that she's learned, like putting her straw in her juice box, and opening up things that she normally didn't have to open because we were opening for her. But they have 20 other kids, so they have to you have to become a little bit more independent to be able to just function, especially to my moms who are like homeschooling and maybe kids aren't in school yet. That is something that we could kind of work on and taking a step back and letting them figure things out a little bit more, because they're our world. But when they get out in the real world, they're not going to be those individuals' world. They have to learn how to be able to be independent.
Yep, exactly. They have to be independent. They have to learn how to cope, and we're all going through changes as a family, when family dynamics, when it two become three, or when two become one and one more, and the dad gone or the mom gone or whatever. But when the dad, we're going to say when the dad is gone, that these dynamics are changing for everybody, and so we all have to find ways how to accept the change and just keep rolling with it, and find ways to, it makes me think of what you said about the baby, self-soothe. We all have to continue to learn how to self-soothe ourselves, and find ways to cope, and I think that is just going to help you get further and further in your journey as a mom.
Absolutely. And learn new skills and figure out things, and never stop being developing yourself. I think for me, like, the business really helped me out a lot, because my Roddy was everything for a while. And then when I started my business, it gave me another place to put some of my energy that was self-filling. It was a little selfish. This is my business that I'm growing. Yeah, am I growing it for her? Absolutely. I would love to be able to pass it down to her. But this is more self-filling. And I feel like it's important to have things that you are developing and cultivating that could just be for self for a while. And I think I talk to moms all of the time on the phone. I told a mom, I said, we see our children, if we really think about it, they go from doing nothing, and by 3, they can almost do everything. Walk, talk, speak, ask for what they want, use the bathroom, feed themselves, wash themselves, like almost everything. And and as adults, we go 5 years, 10 years and not learn anything new. We don't pick up a skill. We don't learn a new language, nothing, because we're so stuck in doing our same work, same thing every single day. And we realize, like, wow, I've let 5 years pass, 10 years pass. Still didn't go back and get that degree. Still didn't open the business. Still didn't write the book. Still didn't become a content creator. I still didn't do all these things that you said you were going to do. You still haven't done it. And all this time passes, and your child learned how to do everything in 3 years.
Right.
Perspective.
Yep, perspective. And with that time that you save, actually, when the kids start doing stuff for themselves, that's giving you a little bit of time back to yourself, giving you some time where you could move forward.
Don't spend that time watching TV and surfing.
Exactly.
Don't waste it. That's the key. Don't, because a lot of those things that we're doing, it doesn't benefit us. Like, being on the internet all day isn't benefiting us, because what are we doing? We're comparing ourselves to others. Oh, look at how the house is so clean. Oh, look at the meals they fix their kids. Oh, look at this. Like, what does that help? Especially when after you get off, you feel worse before you got on. That's something that should be cut a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just numbing your mind, really. Yeah. I think just sitting, scrolling, or watching YouTube videos. Sometimes it's just numbing your mind. I think taking a little break. But like you said, if you do it in perspective, not comparing yourself. I know I have it was at least 2 people I stopped following for those very reasons, because I started feeling better about myself. I was like, well, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I was definitely comparing myself. And that's not something I do often. I don't usually do that. So when I recognized that I was comparing myself, I was like, this is not good for me. Let me just not follow them anymore. I'm doing the best that I can for me. And if I notice that some areas where I can make changes, make those changes. Whatever others are doing, it's possible for every one of us to at least try to do. So if you want to, like I said, I want to make something of this podcast, and hopefully quit my job and just be some kind of content creator. Well, I have to take steps towards that, And so the step isn't sitting scrolling on Instagram or YouTube. The step is pressing record and just doing what I can, I'm a regular mom. I do regular things with my daughter. Other people show that I can show what I do as well. And then also help people, not be afraid to not be afraid of the motherhood journey. It's going to happen. Once you have a baby, like it's there. It's happening.
Look, the baby here.
It's here.
The first year, I kept telling my husband, like, can we take her back to the hospital? It was a joke, of course, but it was like, can we get one redo,
Right.
And you
right.
get a redo. That means don't have a second one.
Exactly.
About it first. We both have one child. So that's your redo chance. If you want don't redo the same and have it
right. Exactly.
If you did, don't do a third. Like at the point you gotta stop the bleeding.
Right, exactly.
Enough is enough. But yeah, no, I 100% agree. And if you do have people on social media, let them inspire you. Let them be like, I'm really big at like following people who are eating healthy. That's something that I'm working on right now is what I eat, what I put in my body. So I've been following nutritionists, people who are like eating whole foods, because I know they're going to be showing me stuff that's going to constantly remind me of where I want to be. Because I love videos. So if you teach me how to make Big Mac at home and you got all this, I'm be like, oh yeah, I'm doing it. So I need that healthy options because I don't need to be making no Big Macs at home. So for sure.
But that's a good point too, in helping the nutrition and what we take into our bodies, the way we feed ourselves. It definitely helps with how we feel about ourselves. It helps deal with stress. It helps lower that cortisol in our body. Sometimes we get enough rest that we need. And so that's a good point. Eating whole foods, making sure you move your body and exercise so you can get those good endorphins. I was doing pretty good for a good couple months. So now I'm ready to get back to it and include Aubrey in my walking and stuff.
Okay, Hunter.
Hey, Hunter, I see.
Look, Hunter, Riley, they are joining the party.
Well, we're going to wrap up anyway. I think we have some good points. Hey, Riley. I think we have some good points. So some of them I'm just going to recap were to establish healthy family dynamics. So encouraging kids to do their share in the household, clean up behind themselves, setting boundaries. When you need to take some time for yourself, go ahead and take your time. It's okay to set the child aside and say, hey, give me 15 minutes. Or if they're still babies, put them in their pen, make sure they're fed and they're fine. And then you go take some time for yourself. Seek help from family members, or you can also seek help from a therapist, talk about what's happening, journaling, some self-care practices. These are all things that can help moms overcome or deal with overwhelm and emotional exhaustion. So this has been the Me Aubrey and Eyeshadow Podcast with our co-host Whitney. Whitney, I want you to let everybody know where they can find you again. They can connect with you.
So I am Whitney T on Instagram. I'm not as active on that platform, but I am Whitney T, and then Whitney Tompkins on Facebook. And then I'm also, my business name is Your Family, Your Legacy, which I am more active. So that's the best way to find me.
Yep. So y'all follow Aubrey, y'all follow Whitney, and get your life insurance needs for your children and any of your other family members. You can always follow Me Aubrey and Eyeshadow on Instagram, TikTok. And I think we have a growing or a little seed in the ground for the Me Aubrey and Eyeshadow mom group on Facebook. So thank you so much for this episode. I hope you all click like. Please comment any questions and share with your family and your girlfriends.
Have a great day.